2 years ago, my family went missing. Now I think I know why. 2 years ago, my family went missing. I won't go into much detail. There isn't much to say, and you probably read about it anyway since all the newspapers covered it. Local family vanishes. What happened to the Coopers? Gone without a trace? Flown the coop? That one was at least funny. But they all said the same thing in the end. Local family reported missing by teenage daughter. Local teen Natalie Cooper arrived home late last Thursday to find father, James Cooper, mother, Betty Cooper, and 10-year-old sister, Amy Cooper, missing. Search ongoing. The search was ongoing for the first 3 days, and then it tapered, and then it stopped altogether. I moved in with an aunt, my father's sister, who lived just outside of town. I finished the school year among looks of pity and suspicion before finally relocating. At first, I was worried that people thought I might have done something, but the longer it went on, I was mostly worried that people just thought my family might have simply left me behind and started over somewhere else. I guess it bothered me more because I was worried it might be true. But last March I turned 18, and last week I moved all my stuff into one of the dinky apartments just off campus, with cigarette burns in the window screens and deep stains in the carpet. In the move, I grabbed a box that I'd been too scared to open since I packed it 2 years ago. Until now, anyway. After the incident, that's what the papers called it, and once it was clear that I had to go into somebody's custody, my aunt helped me go through the house and my family stuff. She was nice enough to let me keep a bunch of it, stacked high in her overflowing basement until I decided I was ready to let it go. I held on to all kinds of stupid things at first. All of the mail, even the obvious junk, because my father always liked to go through it. Everything in my sister's room, of course, because I knew she'd be mad if I threw away so much as a pile of pencil shavings. My mother's dresses. She always wore dresses, and they still smelled like her. Stayed smelling like her for over a year. I used to sneak down to the basement on restless nights, which was most nights for a while, and dig through piles of useless clothing to hold her dresses against my nose and breathe in the smell of her for a while, even after it was clear that they were gone, especially then. I kept TV remotes that hadn't even worked when they were around. All of the stupid, meaningless things that collect in a life. My sister's new notebook with the holographic cat cover that she pitched a fit for in Target. The coaster my dad used to set his coffee on whenever he watched the morning news. A half-torn permission slip with my mother's signature on it. And in one box, the one I'd brought with me, I kept the real stuff. Photo albums and birth certificates and Disney World keychains with their names on them. I never opened that one. Not until now. It hurt. I knew it would hurt to look through the pages of my family's smiling faces. All of our happy memories collected in one place to torture myself with. I forced my way through one photo album before I let myself stop. By that time, I was heaving and snotty from sobs, so much so that I almost missed the one little book that wasn't a photo album. I probably mistook it for one when I boxed it up, but now I saw that the cover bore my mother's neat cursive script. Betty Cooper, Journal, 2015 through blank. What they don't tell you about missing persons cases is that the hardest part isn't the fact that they're gone. It's the not knowing. I've spent hundreds of nights just imagining different scenarios. In most of them, my family is alive somewhere. My sister is 12 and finally growing into her long scarecrow arms. My parents are still rehearsing the same old arguments without any real anger behind them. I don't usually imagine them dead. Can't think up a scenario in which they die. Driving off a bridge on their way to the store, their cars were both home. Forced to walk into the woods at gunpoint, there was never any sign of forced entry, nothing stolen, no bodies ever found. But more than that, the thought of them dead, of them all dying together, is just too much for me. I started reading my mother's journal last night. I'm not sure what I was looking for. Closure maybe? Insight into my mother's private life? Guidance? Whatever I was looking for, it wasn't what I found. Betty Cooper, Journal, 2015 through blank. October 17th, 2016. Ran into Deirdre on the way to Amy's swim practice. I'm still surprised at how adamant she is about that church group. She hates when I call it that. Living one, that's what she calls it. I just don't know. Between Amy's swim team and checking in on Jim's mom every week and keeping the house together, it just seems like a lot. But I do wish we'd raised the girls to be more religious. I don't know. October 22nd, 2016. I caved and finally went with Deirdre to living one. I only recognized maybe two of the other women, Susanna and Vicky. I think their boys play soccer together up at the high school. I'm sure Natalie knows them, but it was nice to meet a group of like-minded women my own age. I'm sure we looked like some kind of PTA group. The woman in charge, Julia, was just as wonderful as Deirdre said, though. I'm still not sure about the whole thing, but I feel really welcomed. Jim was short with me because the group went overtime and he had to pick up dinner for our girls. It was nice to be somewhere where I'm appreciated, though. November 10th, 2016. Jim had just been awful about living one lately. He'd been crowing at me to get a hobby for years, and now suddenly thinks it's too much of a drain on my time. He doesn't understand that Deirdre and Julia and the other girls really need me. He doesn't understand what important work they're doing. Sometimes I just don't understand it, but it is wonderful, and I wish he'd appreciate how good it's been for me to have something that's just mine. Besides, Natalie is always busy, and Amy has so many extracurriculars that there's just no sense in sitting at home all day. Not when I could really be making a difference. November 19th, 2016. I've been really and truly changed. This isn't like when I quit smoking, or when I had Natalie, or that time I did that juice cleanse. I mean changed inside and out. Spiritually changed. I met up with the girls last night for my baptism. It's not called that, but that's what it is. I feel like I finally understand. November 22nd, 2016. After 2 full days at home with them, it's amazing to me that I never realized just how distant they are from our true nature. It's just like Julia said. Amy and Natalie spent the entire holiday on their phones. Dinner was fine. Amy's hair is so thin. Jim's nails are so dirty. How did I never see it before? December 4th, 2016. Julia is preparing something big for the new year. She won't tell us any details yet because she says she wants to be sure that we're devoted. I think it makes perfect sense, especially since Susanna and Vicky missed the last 2 meetings. I know the boys' soccer schedules have to be hard, but I have children too and I haven't missed once. I couldn't imagine. Amy has a piano recital next week and Natalie's performing in some kind of avant-garde thing that I'm sure her beatnik theater teacher put together. Jim and I have been wonderfully polite to one another as long as we don't talk about living one. We haven't been having sex, though. I want to be clean for whatever Julia has planned. December 10th, 2016. I'm worried about living one. Susanna and Vicky have left, and so have 2 of the other women, Trish and Megan. Now it's only Julia, Deirdre, Hannah, and me. I don't want anyone to attend if they don't really believe, and it's nice to have a smaller group, but I don't want this to ruin whatever Julia has planned. Jim has started sleeping in his office. Amy and Natalie can't tell that anything's changed, though, and that's what's important. They may be distant from what we should be, but I don't want to worry them. December 20th, 2016. I met with Julia, and it all makes perfect sense. I'm so very happy. Deirdre is happy too, though she won't have anyone to bring with her, poor thing. Hannah is bringing her sister from Iowa. What a treat for her. I haven't been able to sleep, but I know I need to be well rested. I've been eating clean and making sure that Amy, Natalie, and Jim all are too. They've been complaining about the disappearance of pizza night, but once we go into the earth and reunite better than before, they'll know it was all worth it. I have to get a few things together before then, though, but I can hardly stand the anticipation. January 3rd, 2017. I had to leave without Natalie. I told her that she could see her friends later, but she left anyway before Julia came to pick us up. She's been in so much trouble lately that I just have to hope she finds her way to the truth on her own. To living one. I knew Jim would cause a fuss, and that would worry Amy, so I went ahead and brewed him some coffee and made Amy a cup of juice with some Ambien just for the ride over. Deirdre and Julia helped me get them in her SUV, which made it all so much easier. Hannah said she just hit her sister with a pan she brought from QVC. We all had such a laugh about that. I saw the field last week where the graves are. Julia says to call them doorways, but I don't mind. I think graves is a fine word, and I'm not worried. I know living one is the truth, and I know that we'll all reunite so much better than we are now. I still gotta get the hammer from the toolbox in the garage before we leave. I've never seen anyone killed with a hammer before. Julia says it's like cracking open an egg. I just think that sounds so delicate. Like cracking us open to a new life. Opening our minds by force so that we can become our real selves. I'm so glad I get to take Jim and Amy with me. I'm so sad for Natalie. I wish she could come with us. I nearly bumped Amy's head getting her into the car. I can't wait to crack that thin, beautiful eggshell and make her all new. I can't wait to go into the earth and come out again with them. I just can't wait.